Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are going to get started in just a few minutes. We'll give everyone an extra minute or two to rush from their last meeting, rush from dinner, rush from wherever it is everyone's coming from. So welcome. My name's Sue Larkin. I'm head of programs for Look Good, Feel Better. And welcome to our webinar for healthcare professionals. Welcome, everybody. It is just a few minutes after 7. I'm going to give everyone about 30 more seconds and then we'll get going. My name's Sue. I'm head of programs here for Look Good, Feel Better. And we've got almost, it looks like everybody on. I'm just keeping an eye on our participant numbers. Et bienvenue tout le monde qui parle en français. On doit expliquer comment tu peux écouter la présentation en français. Just un moment. Je suis désolée. Welcome. We'll just give everyone one more minute. All right, I think we will get started then. So welcome everybody. My name is Susan Larkin. I am head of programs for Look Good, Feel Better. And Olivier or André, est-ce que tu peux dire pour les personnes qui parlent en français comment ils peuvent écouter?
Oui, bien sûr. Hello, everyone. So for those who would like to listen in French, so I'll just make a French message. Interpretation is now started and it's at the bottom of the screen. Bonjour à tous. Alors pour l'interprétation, l'interprétation est maintenant démarrée. En bas de votre écran, il y a un bouton qui s'appelle Interprétation. Simplement sélectionnez le français. Vous allez entendre la traduction en français durant l'événement. Merci.
Merci, Olivier. Thank you, everyone. And we were so excited. We were looking at the registrations and the folks that have joined us, and we've got folks from coast to coast, which is just amazing. I love the variety of diversity of folks that are on the line. Geographically, it makes time zones a little bit difficult. So welcome for those of you in the evening. Thank you. And those of you wrapping up work for the day, thank you for sneaking us in between. If you've got questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the chat box and I'll try to keep an eye on those questions. And Suzanne, who's part of our team, is also keeping an eye on those questions as well. And I need to just stop the top, thank our sponsors for making this evening possible. So the Globe and Mail and also La Roche-Posay. And La Roche-Posay has generously also donated 3 phenomenal gift baskets. So stay with us and we'll be giving away those gift baskets at the end of the presentation. So thank you so much. This wouldn't be happening without your support. So we have a few guest speakers this evening. Our Look Good, Feel Better volunteer, Robin Trott, will be joining us. 2 phenomenal registered nurses from Nanaimo, and they were telling me the flowers have been up there for like weeks, so they're well ahead of us, will be joining us. And a wonderful ambassador for our program, Andrea Rodriguez, who was one of our first participants when we moved online last spring. So we'll do proper recognize them more properly as they start to speak, but just wanted to let you know. And I just wanted to take a little time to say thank you for all of you for joining. We know and appreciate what a tough past time it's been, and it still is for our healthcare frontline workers. And we know you guys are exhausted. So taking time this evening to learn about our program, we appreciate that so much. And I do want to also acknowledge that it is, of course, National Nursing Week. So happy National Nursing Week to all of you who are nurses on the line, but also a little recognition because there's a lot of folks on the line who also support our amazing nurses. So thank you guys. So the agenda for the evening, Robin is going to actually explain. A lot of times we get people saying, I've heard of Look Good, Feel Better, but what actually happens at a workshop? So Robin is going to answer those questions for you in a little bit. And and our friends in Nanaimo will talk about why they recommend the workshop to their patients. And Andrea is going to talk about her experience as a participant in the workshop. But first, I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview as to who we are and what we do. So Olivier, if we can have the PowerPoint open first. Excellent. Thank you. We're just going to give it a second here for me to actually be able to advance the slides. I like to talk. I don't like technology. That's probably the biggest thing. Olivier, it's not advancing for me. If maybe you could do it for me.
Yeah, okay, sure. Just let
Thank
me know when I
you.
need to
Yep,
advance.
next slide, please. Perfect. So I think a lot of you on the phone and on the Zoom call tonight, you know all of this. You know those cancer stats. We know those numbers are not going down anytime soon. And of course, we're all concerned about what's going to happen as surgeries reopen and women are coming back in. But often when I'm talking to people kind of outside of the healthcare space, they're very surprised to see that. And we know that the appearance-related impact of cancer and its treatment can absolutely be devastating. That loss of identity when a woman looks in the mirror and doesn't see herself. And we talk a lot about the need to improve self-esteem, body image, sexuality, relationships, returning to work, all those different stages. And of course, with all of the restrictions happening across the country, that psychosocial care is even more important. Family members aren't able to be in the hospital with their loved ones while they're going through treatment. And of course, the nursing staff and the teams looking after them are even stretched thinner than they were before. So we know that psychosocial support is also crucial, as is, of course, the medical care as well. Next slide, please. Before we started, we wanted to do a quick poll just to find out from everyone on the line how aware you are of Look Good, Feel Better in our workshops for women and teens, of course, for all types of cancer. And because I have Olivier here doing tech, it means I get to play with things because he can manage the poll for me. So Olivier, if we can get that first poll up and we'll see what some of our results are. So everyone can just click their answers. So how aware are you of Look Good, Feel Better and our free workshops for women and teens facing all types of cancer? So we're just doing that first poll right now. So please feel free to, oh, and thank you, Diana's put the questions in the chat as well. So the first is I recommend it all the time. Second, I'm aware, but I don't recommend it very often. I've heard of it, but I don't know a lot of details, or I was not aware of Look Good, Feel Better until I got the invitation to this event. So we'll give you a few seconds. All right. Olivier, are we able to see the results or do we get those after?
We get those after. So once the polling ends, we can display the results.
Perfect. So we can display the results and we can keep going. Excellent. Oh, look at that. Thank you, everyone at the I recommend it all the time. That is wonderful. We just, we just appreciate it so much. And for those of you who weren't aware or you don't know a lot of details, that is what we're going to answer tonight. So we're so excited that you're here to join us because we really wanted to be able to get that information out there. So thank you for coming and hopefully we'll answer all your questions, but we are always here for questions after as well. Thank you, Olivier. We can go to the next slide. Perfect. So what I'm going to do, because I know I'm always a fact finder, when someone's telling me the background, I feel like, well, but what is it? What is it? What is it? So I'm going to give you a super quick overview of what the workshop is. And then I'm going to do a little bit of the background and Robin's going to really walk you through what happens at the workshop. So a quick snapshot, you know, a lot of times I've had people say, oh, you're the makeup people. And it is part of what we do, but it's a lot more than that. So at the workshop, we talk about sun protection, skin care, especially for sensitive skin after going through treatment, color cosmetics, and that's really around masking the impact. So maybe covering up some dark circles, using techniques to fill in eyebrows to make eyelashes look like they're a little bit fuller. Makeup hygiene is a big part of what we talk about, and Robin's going to address that. We talk about hair loss. We talk about what to expect if you're going to lose your hair, what to expect when it grows back, wig selection, and breast forms and garments that are available as well should you be having breast cancer. But I do want to highlight the workshop is available for women facing all cancers, so women and teens facing all cancers, not just breast. Next slide. And so obviously, typically our workshop is in person at about 110 sites across the country. Last March, we shut down as most organized, or as most of us did, and we moved the workshops online. And so for those of you who are familiar with our in-person workshop, we adjusted it a little bit. Our typical in-person workshop is 2 hours, and that's just a bit long to be online for. An hour is the longest you want to do. So what we did is we broke the workshops into 4 different workshops. All are 1 hour in length. They're using a Zoom platform. It's WebEx, but it's the same idea. And we divided it up into 4 different sections. So the one is skincare and cosmetics. We have another one about wigs and hair alternatives. The third is breast form and garments. And then the fourth one is a special for teens. And that one is a bit of a hybrid. We talk about skincare, we talk about cosmetics, we talk about wigs, and we really let the teens kind of lead the conversation on that one as well. They're led by volunteers, 2 volunteers, a moderator, and someone providing the information. And our volunteers are mainly estheticians, makeup artists. Some of them own wig boutiques. So they come to us with expertise in those areas, and then we train them on the content and help specifically support women with cancer. And a lot of our volunteers actually are women who have gone through the workshop themselves, or that they've had cancer experience themselves. And it just lends a wonderful understanding to the workshop. They're offered in English and French, and it's a small group. So we typically have about 16 women on the workshop. They can turn on their cameras, they could turn their cameras off, whatever they're comfortable with. And again, it's not just about the content, but it's about encouraging, sharing, and connection and building in community. The in-person workshops, inevitably, the women end up having a good laugh at some point. It's very supportive, lots of warmth. And we were worried that wouldn't continue online, but we were pleasantly surprised that it still does. So Robin will touch more about that in a little bit. Next slide, please. So we talk a lot about the psychosocial definition of health. And I think all of you on this call, you're here because you believe strongly in that as well. And that's, the mental, the emotional, the social, and the spiritual well-being. And we know how crucial body image is for women facing cancer, for anybody facing cancer. And that the stronger we are in our psychosocial support, the more likely that the outcomes in terms of mental health and emotional health are going to be there for our women. And so that's really, on the surface, we talk a lot about the makeup and the skincare and the cosmetics and things, but we know it's underneath. It's around meeting that need for psychosocial health. I can get the next slide. This is just a lovely testimonial from one of the doctors, actually at Sick Kids, Dr. Corin Bloom, talking about the impact of the teen workshop there. But we have a very similar reaction from all of our healthcare providers who tell us that this idea of control and normalcy is so important for their patients. And it's just wonderful to hear from the medical community that they're supporting and understanding what we do. Next slide, please. So I think if you're on this call, you probably are ready to learn more about it. But I know sometimes if you need to go back and explain to somebody why this might be important and why you might want to add recommending it into what, the kit that you might give your patients who are newly diagnosed. Sometimes the studies are always good to kind of back up the claims. And so these are a few different studies that have been done over the years. And I don't think any of this will be surprising for you, but that body image and appearance changes can be an area of concern for up to 67% of cancer patients. This is from the American Cancer Society, but it's very similar here in Canada. And that idea that scarring, hair loss, and skin changes can all really have a negative implication on short and long-term quality of life. Next slide. I will be sending this out afterwards if people are interested in that. This one is, so 2/3 of women view alopecia as one of the most traumatic events. And I cannot tell you how many times we have women come to the workshop or we talk to them after and they say, I was so worried about hair loss. I was so worried about my skin. I was so worried, but I was too embarrassed to ask. And they think they're the only ones who have this moment of, here I am, I've been diagnosed with cancer. I should be, mostly concerned about my treatment plan. But, the second thing I Googled when I got home was hair loss or scarring or weight gain or weight loss or whatever that is. And they'll tell us that they didn't want to be judged and by somebody by vocalizing that concern. And probably one of the shocking things in here for us was this 8% of women would actually reject treatment due to a fear of alopecia. And again, we know that it can spark depression and anxiety and low self-esteem. And obviously we want to make sure that we're able to be there to support that and improve those stats. Next slide, please. So this was a study done in 2018, and it was done over in Europe, but it was part of the similar workshop to what we offer. And that this study actually did show that participants reported a reduction in depression, higher quality of life, and higher self-esteem. And I think one of the biggest things that comes out of this as well is this idea of control. A lot of times people might think, oh, worrying about hair is around self-image and self-esteem, and it is. But there's a big part of being able to take control of how you look so that you can decide who is aware that you are sick or not. And a lot of women will say, I want to be able to get a wig. I want to know how to do my eyebrows. I want to know how to take care of this because I don't want to be worried when I'm playing with my kids that they see that I'm sick. Or I have to continue to work during treatment and I don't want necessarily everyone I'm coming in contact with to be aware of what it is I'm going through. We actually had a participant a few years ago who didn't want her mom to know that she was going through cancer. It just wouldn't have been the right thing for her mom to know due to her mom's own health issues. And she needed to be able to interact with her mom in a way that her mom wouldn't be aware of what it was that she was going through. And so besides that self-esteem, that idea of control is so huge in the impact of taking care of the appearance-related impact. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so what actually happens at a workshop? And I'm just gonna pause. I'm just gonna check to see if we have any questions in the chat function. Feel free to pop the questions in as you go. I think we're good for now. And I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to pass it on to Robin, who's actually going to talk about what happens at the workshop. So Olivia, we can drop the PowerPoint for now and bring Robin up, please.
Thanks, Sue. Okay. Oh, I'm spotlighted. Okay. I can see it on my own screen even. Wonderful. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. My name's Robin and I'm a Look Good Feel Better volunteer. I've been with Look Good Feel Better now for about 17 years. And since we started doing the virtual workshops when the pandemic began, I've been right there doing workshops sometimes twice a week, once a week, up until this point. So very, very happy to be part of the team. And I really appreciate the fact that all of you have taken some time out to learn a little bit about what we do in our workshops. And I want to assure you that your patients, if you recommend our workshops, are definitely in good hands. So I'll go ahead and get started. I do just want to really underscore the fact that we have a lot of women who participate with us who really have never done much with makeup. It might be a foreign concept to them, but sometimes during the treatment, it is a little bit necessary to do some of these things with color cosmetics to manage some of the appearance-related side effects. And that's really what we focus on in our workshops. There's nothing glamorous or difficult to follow techniques, anything like that in the workshop. It really is very easy to follow. I try to make it a little bit fun. I try to put the information together so that you can really pick and choose what's important to you in terms of the steps that you might need to do for what you're personally going through. But we really just want to make sure that all of the women that come from our workshops, whether it's the skincare cosmetics, the wigs and hair alternatives, that they are equipped to deal with the temporary side effects of their treatment during that time. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and show you a little bit about what we do. So I welcome the women onto our workshop, and I really encourage them as well to participate in whatever way they like to do it. It's an hour, and the wonderful thing is they can be participating from their own home. So sometimes people are really relaxed, they're propped up in their bed. We have people who participate from a hospital appointment. So really whatever it is that they want to do. We also send them information in advance to let them know what to bring to the workshop, and they can participate virtually with me. So whether that means doing some of the skincare things that I'm doing, or whether that means tying some of the scarves that they have, or trying on their wigs. And really that becomes a wonderful forum for the women to share that information amongst each other. We have women kind of giving little tips and writing in the chat box where they bought a particular scarf. And it really does become a sense of community in that respect, more so than you would think it would be virtually when we're doing it online. Again, as Sue mentioned, hygiene is so important. So we understand that all of our participants are having a compromised immune system as they're going through their treatment, and we want to be able to offer them the information that's going to help them, but do no harm to what they're doing. So I talk about the importance of clean hands. I really believe that our hands are some of our best tools. You can put on all your makeup with just your hands, as long as your hands are clean. You can clean them as often as you need to. And then we also recommend as well the use of disposable tools. So I won't be using any brushes, anything that needs to get cleaned, because you really should, as a makeup artist, clean your brushes after every use. And who has time to do that? So we use everything that can be just used once and then thrown away after the workshop. And then I get right into it. So I usually recommend, if the ladies still have hair, you pull your hair off of your face. And if you don't have hair, this is where I tell them too, that in terms of the care of our skin, really that begins, we should start to think about our face, starting at our chest, our neck, our face, and then up onto the scalp as well. So if you've lost your hair, I really recommend taking this whole skincare routine right up onto the scalp. Also includes our hands. So what we start off with is a simple cleansing routine. This is a very gentle and creamy cleanser. Again, the products that we like to recommend to our participants at this time are all going to be very gentle. No active ingredients, everything that is just calming and soothing to the skin. Again, I like to talk about the delivery system of the product. So this one, if you can see, is something that I actually can't even stick my fingers into. So that keeps it really nice and clean and hygienic. I just take a little blob of that out on the back of my hand. And now I get into one of my favorite parts of what we do, Look Good, Feel Better, the face massage. And I always say to the ladies, this is the time really where you need to make time for this. If you can, during your nighttime routine, on the call, I always say I should actually now start some spa music and light a little candle. And really, I love to do this step. And I think it's very, very good for us. There are proven benefits to the power of massage. Not only is it breaking up the dirt, bacteria, makeup that's on my skin, but it is bringing the blood circulation to the surface of the skin. And again, there's just something very, very soothing, very self-care aspect of this. And I think that is a wonderful thing for our participants to be doing for themselves right now. So that is the cleansing of the skin. And normally I would wash this off with water. We always have a little step that we do just to make that happen, and without the ability to access the water. So I'm just wiping it with a makeup wipe here. And then we get into some of our skincare. So once the skin is cleansed completely, feels really good. I don't know, we should have recommended, Sue, that everybody bring some products and go along with us. It would really be like the workshop, but that's wonderful. And now I need to talk about moisturizing, because again, the impact to the skin can be quite dramatic. We have women who have very, very dry skin, maybe breakouts, lots of things, as I'm sure you in the medical community know, that can happen to the skin during treatment. Again, the hair loss being the most important and traumatic side effect for many women, but the other side effects can be very, very difficult to manage as well. So moisture being a very key thing. And then before I get into moisture, I always underline the benefits of an SPF. This is probably a little bit bright. This is a wonderful one from our sponsors, La Roche-Posay. I'll show you that there in the camera. And SPF is something that I think it starts to get a lot more prominence when we get into the summer months, but SPF is something that should be a year-round concern, especially when women are going through treatment. They are more photosensitive, and so I really am a big advocate that this should be the first thing that goes onto your skin, especially if you're going to have any time outdoors. Any skin that is exposed should definitely be properly protected with an SPF. And as we get into the summer months, more of our skin is exposed if we shed some layers, so super important for our participants to know that. Then I get into moisturizing of the skin. So I'm going to use a little lotion here. And again, I will mention to our participants that this often really is one of the things where it bridges from the skincare call to the hair care call, because really, if I'm moisturizing my face, I am going to have the participants carry this up onto the scalp as well. Moisturizing and caring for your scalp once you've lost the hair is really important, and it can be very soothing and beneficial. There can be itchiness, there can be a feeling of general discomfort when hair is falling out, when hair has fallen out, and keeping good care of that skin on the scalp is just as important as the rest of our faces. So again, the face massage, this is the part where I tend to sort of get going on that and waste a lot of time because I enjoy it so much. And I think it's really, really important. Then of course, I might add some color back as well. So I won't do that so much tonight, but I'm going to really talk about, we have couple of steps that are super important for Look and Feel Better when it comes to the loss of hair. That can affect the eyebrows. The eyebrows are very much a feature framing aspect of the face. So drawing on a brow is important with a brow pencil. We talk about that. And also the use of an eyeliner to help mimic the look of lashes if some lashes have fallen out. Then I'm a big believer, before we do anything else, you can just put a little bit of lipstick, a little bit of color on the lips. You really can adapt any of these steps that we are showing for what works for you. I'm going to do that. And I always say to the ladies as well that when you're shopping for wigs or for hair alternatives, all of those items are going to look a little bit nicer and brighter if you do have a little bit of color to your skin. So again, just using a disposable tool, and it's that easy. I'm done with the cosmetics, and I'm just going to flip over to the hair alternatives. I like to start by talking about hair alternatives because, as we realized during our workshops as we went online, we thought that many women might not have the opportunity to actually purchase a wig. Buying a wig takes a lot more of a fitting. It usually requires a personal appointment, about 45 minutes or so in length, to make sure that you get the right fit. Wigs are always a final sale product, and they can be quite expensive. So it's very important for a woman to make the right choice. So that was the reason that we started to talk about some of the wonderful things that we have available to us that are hair alternatives. The first one that I'm going to model here is our favorite little Parker sleep cap, and this is just so wonderful. A woman can sleep with this as hair is falling out. The hair can be caught in the sleep cap, making it a much cleaner experience in the morning when you get out of bed. The hair is not all over the pillow. You can just empty it out of the cap. Also have functions to keep the head warm. We lose a lot of our body heat out of the top of our head, so this is a really nice little way to sleep with this and stay warm and cozy. And then finally, I recommend having one of these, maybe in a few colors. I recommend keeping the sleep cap one just for bedtime, just like your pajamas. You wouldn't wear it out into the world, but having a couple of other colors. And then these become a great base for scarf tying. So one of the things that I really have recommended to our ladies is go through, we have all this time, we're at home now, go through your drawers and find those old scarves that maybe you weren't thinking would be so appropriate. Maybe you didn't think you could use them, but there are wonderful things you can do with a scarf. This is just a big oblong. Sorry, big square. I'm making it into a triangle. I'm just going to take that. And again, it's made of a slippy polyester fabric. So normally I wouldn't think that this would be a good scarf to wear during on my head, because it will probably just slide right off. But if I use it in conjunction with the little cotton and rayon cap, it really stays on nicely. So you can see it's got a little bit of grip. It's giving me the security there. I could even put some pins in it. A lot of women as well, if they felt that they like to have, if they had longer hair, they like the feel of a ponytail, this can be really a nice thing to have as well. I am a firm believer, and I tell our participants all the time, that if they don't want to choose a wig right now, there's absolutely no reason that you can't go on with your Zoom calls, your little party in the park, whatever it is that you're doing. You can feel just as chic and glamorous with hair alternatives instead of a wig, if it's too tricky to purchase a wig at this time. I'm going to show a couple more really quickly. This again is something that's easy to purchase online. It's got some ruching already sewn into it, and I just pop that on. This is the one that we always joke in the workshop is really easy. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. But I had a background in fashion, so I do like to do everything to my little hair alternatives. I'm not going to settle for it being just like this, although I could wear it just like that. I like to go around again, find some scarves. I find this one that is an oblong. And traditionally, I wouldn't think that's going to be much use for being a hair alternative, but I take this and I just tie that around. And really quick and easy. And the joy of scarf tying is that it comes out different every time. So you never know what result you're going to get. You kind of have to take your face shape into consideration, but you can really have some fun with the scarves. And I really encourage our participants to do that and to make the hair alternatives their own. You can do that with other things, like I dug out from all of my collection of my big brooches that you might wear on your lapel, but now I could pop that right onto the top here, have that hidden in my scarf, or again, coordinating the colors. I've got a really beautiful little one here that's a flower. So I'm going to, actually, I got to show my favorite before I move on. I'm a big believer in, again, the glamour. So the turbans are wonderful. And so if you really want something easy for a party, your Zoom call, a little slash of red lipstick, your turban, and some great earrings is really all you need. So I would do something like that and I would be ready to go. Of course, I do show how to choose wigs and the construction of wigs. I have many wigs that we will demonstrate on the call. And I show the ladies how they're made, how to fit them, how to wear them. And this was the joyous part in the in-person workshops where we would do our skincare and our makeup first. And then I would have someone who is one of our participants as the model. So of course, now that I'm home alone in my house, I'm doing the modeling on myself, but it was really wonderful when we were in person, and it would be such a transformation to see how a woman with her makeup done and then putting the different wigs on. Really, we had some fun with it, and you could really see the difference in terms of different colors, different styles of wigs, and people really enjoyed that aspect too. So I'm just going to pop this one on and show you what a wig is like, making sure that I fit it properly. And I give them all the tips about that before we go. This is a really great wig too, because it's got what we call a monofilament at the top. So then I do get there and show them too that it looks absolutely like your own part underneath there. You can make a part in this one. It's got the monofilament all across the top. So it's a really great technology in wigs, and nice to show them the versatility of it. I would also show too how this can be tied back if that's too much hair for you, but really kind of a neat transformation. A couple other things to just share quickly before I have to go, because I don't want to take up all of the time, but Sue wanted me to just tell a couple little stories about community. And so some of the wonderful things that have happened in our workshops are around community. And one of the things happened actually just on my call yesterday. It was a skincare cosmetics call, and we had the whole thing was full. The way it's always in a grid view, and I can see all the ladies together. And the ladies, just before everything got started, were looking around at each other. And one of the ladies commented, she said, "It is just so nice to see so many bald heads in the room together," you know. And so that was really wonderful, because it's not that we're in the room together. We miss that aspect of our in-person workshops, but I think seeing that amongst the other participants is a really wonderful thing for a woman to know that she's not going through something alone, and that there is that sense of community. Often in a workshop too, I will stop talking if there's a need that the women want to talk amongst themselves. I think that is just as important as any of the information that I am telling to them. In fact, sometimes that's more important, the fact that they can share some things amongst themselves, because certainly they can learn this information on our website. They're welcome to join as many times as they want. But if there's a connection happening, I really like to encourage that. And then finally, just another story about the availability of our workshops. So again, back to in person, you really can't beat that. It's just a wonderful place to be. But when we are doing it virtually, when I first started doing it virtually, I really had to remind myself that I was talking to across Canada audience. I was so used to doing my workshops in person at Princess Margaret, at Sick Kids. So I had a real Toronto-centric kind of focus, but it was interesting to realize that we were actually touching people from all across Canada. And the reason that we're hosting this call today is we were touching people who were in hospitals where they previously had not had a Look Good, Feel Better workshop offered to them. So now we can offer it to everyone. Anyone who would like to attend is welcome to attend. You can, again, attend from the comfort of your own home. The commute times are reduced. That's really a wonderful aspect of it. And then a couple of great things too. I had just last week, we had a lady on who was a new mom. And so we had baby Eloise joining our call for the first few minutes. And she was a 3-month-old newborn. And that participant wouldn't have been able to join us either if it were an in-person workshop. So I will wrap up there. I hope that you got a little sense of what we do in the workshops. Again, I want to reiterate that your participants are in good hands with us. We will take good care of them and do everything that we can to make sure that they have the tools that they need to get through this temporary time. That's my most important message to them, that I just want them to be able to get out there feeling like themselves again. And virtually, it's been a wonderful transition, and we're going to continue to offer it even when we do get back into hospitals. So thanks very much.
Oh, thank you, Robin. Can you believe Robin just put in about 2 hours of content in about 18 minutes? You can see why we asked Robin to join. And I forgot to mention off the top, as Robin mentioned, she's been volunteering for us in person at Sick Kids at Princess Margaret Lodge for 17 years. And we have volunteers who have been with us for such a long time because they're so dedicated and committed to helping the women. And that to me really is what makes the workshop magical, is this energy, which I think Robin just displayed. Robin, I can't handle, the blonde is fantastic. I'm loving it. But it is Robin's energy and her warmth and her expertise that allows women. And I think the biggest thing that you probably got from listening to Robin too is we don't tell women what they have to do, that you must put on lipstick, that you must wear a wig, that you must do this. It's like, these are the options, and we just want you to know what your options are and you choose what makes sense for you. So it's really, really about empowering women. And I think that, Robin's expertise and the content comes across, but her idea and that belief in empowering women to make their own choices is the magic that Robin brings to the workshop. So thank you for doing that. And I also should say that when women finish the skincare workshop, we do send them, for those of you who know about us in person, there's a beautiful kit of product that includes that sunscreen that Robin mentioned and some other beautiful products. And so when the women are done, they do receive a kit so they can practice all the tips that they got. We were able to figure out shipping once a couple of months ago, so we're thrilled to do that. So thank you. So next, I'm just going to check. I think we're good for questions. So Robin, thank you again. And I want to invite Rachel and Carrie. So as I mentioned off the top, Rachel and Carrie are both registered nurses at the Nanaimo Hospital. And Carrie O'Hare has been a registered nurse for 24 years at the Nanaimo Hospital, working in the cancer clinic for the past 8 years as a certified oncology nurse. And that was Carrie. I'm so sorry. Rachel's been at the cancer clinic since 2012 and is also, of course, helping with the mass immunization efforts out there in Nanaimo as well. So welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening.
Thanks for having us.
Excellent. So Rachel, I'll start with you. We were talking at one point about holistic patient care. So talk about that, about, what does holistic patient care mean to you, and why is it a focus for you?
Yeah, I think, as much as holistic care is something that as nurses we believe in and we try to practice all the time. But I think in the busyness of our practice, often we get caught up in treatment and symptom management, and it's a busy time for everyone, and our clinics are overwhelmed a lot of the time. And we want to be able to do everything for our patients. As nurses, I think we want to be everyone and everything for them, but that's just not realistic. And we know that it's not a manageable thing to do or healthy. So it's referrals to programs like Look Good, Feel Better that really helps us to provide that holistic care and to focus more on the other aspects of care besides just treatment, of the disease and managing symptoms. And I love the idea of look good, feel better, because as a nurse, I always try to think like, what kind of care would I want to receive, and what kind of care would I want my mom or my sister to get if they had a cancer diagnosis. And I know wholeheartedly that this is something I would want to participate in, and I would want my mom or my sister to participate in as well.
And Carrie, what have you seen are some of the benefits when your patients, you've recommended the workshop and then you see them the next week or the next month? What are some of those benefits that you've seen?
I think definitely an increase in self-esteem, increase in confidence. Something that we've noticed within our clinic itself is women reaching out within our clinic while they're undergoing treatment. Hey, I've been at this workshop and it was amazing, and you should go and ask the nurse. She can probably sign you up, because we do that. So I think that's sort of, a benefit that we probably didn't even know was going to happen, but just that building of like connections within our treatment room, that is so important for our patients.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how do you bring it up? I often think, oh my gosh, you guys have a million things that you're doing at the same time. It seems you're trying to, let everyone know their treatment plan and all the different questions that they have. And I sometimes think, oh, it's just one more thing to add, one more thing to remember. How, and is it awkward to bring up? Like, how does that kind of happen in the process as a woman going through your clinic?
I think probably despite the busyness of our clinic, we do have the luxury of time while we are giving chemotherapy, while we're starting an IV and sitting with their patient through a portion of their treatment. So we are able to have those conversations with patients, and it just sort of comes up naturally for us. And, it might not be a good time on that first visit, and you can kind of develop a bit of a relationship, and maybe the next time that topic will come up, or it will seem like a better time and it would be better received. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And Rachel, how about you? When do you tend to bring that up?
I think, like Carrie said, often we always bombard our patients with a lot of information, especially at the beginning of their treatment regime. So everything's new and it's super overwhelming, and there's a ton of information in terms of all aspects of their treatment. And I think at that point, they might not yet know what they worry about, or what questions they have, or what's going to matter most to them. I think when they come back for their second treatment, and they have a better idea of what they're in for, is a really good time for us to talk about these kind of things, like caring for themselves in terms of hair loss and skincare, because that's often when they have lost their hair, is after a few weeks. And they'll express that it was super traumatic for them to shave their head. And I think that's often a good time for us to mention, hey, have you heard of Look Good, Feel Better? And take it from there.
Carrie or Rachel, how do you feel that it complements the care that you give your patients? And quite honestly, whether it's Look Good, Feel Better or any of the other kind of supportive care workshops that you might have out in Nanaimo, how does that complement the care that you're giving?
I think it goes back to that holistic piece, right? Like, again, we can't be everything for the patient, but if we can refer our patients to a program or a service that we know that those people are the experts in that aspect of care, then we know that our patients are in the best hands.
Great. Now, you guys this was when it was in person, but we could still do this definitely online. You guys decided that you wanted to up the number of patients you had going to the workshop, and you did a contest. Who's going to tell us a little bit about that contest?
I can go ahead.
Okay, Carrie, go.
Yeah, we were contacted by Michelle, who is sort of our director for, I guess, maybe Western Canada. And she did speak to us about our numbers were dropping in our area. And we thought, oh my goodness, we really need to start, we need to up our referrals, just because we knew the importance. We're a small community with quite limited resources to offer our patients. So we certainly didn't want to see this one lost to our patient population. So we just decided that we were going to have some friendly competition within our clinic. And we ran with it from there. I think Rachel was instrumental in doing tally sheets for us for the week, and really keeping track of, did you speak to your patient about look good, feel better? And then I think you got an extra point, or, if were you able to refer them? Are they gonna go, and are they interested? So really and truly just friendly competition for nurses. But I think at the end of the day, our patients were the ones who ultimately benefited from that.
Oh, that's great.
We went so far as to, while they were in the chemo chair, to sign them up. Okay, you're booked for this day at this time, and which made it that much more easy for them, like one less thing to worry about.
Oh.
But I think what came out of that was we had no idea the impact that what we were telling our patients or referring them to. We had no idea how much that impacted them even knowing about it, or the enrollment in the program. And like Carrie said, I think that program was at risk of being closed because there simply was not enough attendance. And then after we ran this contest, which really it wasn't that much more, it wasn't any work for us to do, we had fun with it, and the program sessions were filled, they were full.
That's great. Well, thank you Rachel and Carrie for sharing the benefits that you've seen of your patients, kind of where you bring it up in the journey, and being with us this evening. We really appreciate it, and everything you do in promoting the workshop for your patients and everything you're doing for them. I should mention, because I know we talked a little bit, I forgot to mention off the top, we do suggest women are welcome to join the workshop within a year of treatment. And so we will have women come on to the workshop just when they're diagnosed. We'll have a lot of women join kind of after they've gotten their treatment plan and maybe that first session. And then some women will join us after, and kind of think of it as a pick-me-up for when they're done treatment, and a little bit of a celebration when they're done. So we welcome, women and teens at any point in that journey. But we know that you guys are really the ones there, and everyone joining us this evening that knows kind of that magic moment of when somebody might be ready to hear about the program. So thank you.
Thanks for what you guys do.
We have one last speaker, and I promise we're gonna finish on time. So Andrea, are you there with us, Andrea? There she is. So Andrea Rodriguez. So Andrea is one of the strongest self-advocates, I think, when it comes to the healthcare space. She was diagnosed with scoliosis at 11, neurofibromatosis later, and ended up actually paralyzed from the waist down for about 2 years after back surgery, all as a very young woman. And so that really led her to be a phenomenal advocate for herself. And then, of course, Andrea, in January 2020, just before the lockdown, you ended up diagnosed with breast cancer. So
yes,
tell us a bit about that experience.
It was pretty scary because like when I went to the doctors, because of my age, they're like, nope, don't worry, it's nothing. And I'm like, no, there's something going on. And like I really had to push for like testing and stuff to get it. And then when I went to get diagnosed, it was scary because COVID had just started, and every appointment we went to, and they're like, do you have a fever? Do you have this? And it's like, have you left the country? And it was very quick appointments. And so I was diagnosed, and it was a lot of information coming at you all at once. Like, you have this, and like all my luckily I was able to have like my parents and my husband with me at the time. Like, he was my fiance at the time, but he was able to come with me for like the first month of it. But then after that, I had to go to all appointments and stuff by myself. So it was very scary to go through it, go to appointments by yourself, and a lot of information to take, because like normally if my mom or my fiance was with me, it's like they remember stuff, and because I was emotionally and mentally just overwhelmed with everything. But then it was like a lot of pressure on me to like remember all your things and all that.
And that must have been tough for your family too, that they weren't able to be there to support you.
Because we're very close, like we are always there for each other. So it's like when big things happen, someone always goes with someone just to be supportive and be there. So for them to just like drop me off at the entrance of a hospital or an appointment and be like, okay, call us when you're done or call us if you need anything, it's scary. And for me, because I'm used to having someone with me, just going through everything by myself was scary as well.
Thank you. And how did you, I think you were telling me you found out about the workshop at that first chemo appointment. I remember you telling me that the nurses were just being phenomenal because they were acknowledging that nobody had the caregivers there with them. So tell us a bit about that first appointment, how you found out about the workshop.
So I had very long hair, and I was scared I didn't want to wake up with hair on my pillow. So I think it was before my first appointment, I shaved my hair because I didn't want to find pieces of hair falling everywhere, because I was already starting to lose hair before I started treatment. So I shaved my hair, and I was talking to my nurse, and I'm like, I don't know what to expect. Like, how long will it take to grow back? What do I do? How does chemo affect I don't like the way I look anymore. And so that's when she recommended Look Good, Feel Better. She's like, I've never gone to any appointments or workshops, but I know patients that I have, and it's helped them with confidence. And she's like, you might not have hair, but maybe you could do some makeup or wear a scarf or something that you will feel better about yourself. So she gave me the pamphlet for Look Good, Feel Better with all my other chemo stuff. But because she brought it up because I was talking about me not feeling confident, and it was summer, so I'm sorry, it was spring, so I was worried about it's like I can't wear a toque all the time to hide it and stuff. So she just encouraged me to look for that class, and she's like, you'll see other women going through similar things. So that's how I found out about it.
Great. And you ended up being one of, I think you were in one of the earliest online workshops that we did. We had just shifted over. And so what were you expecting when you thought, oh, this is weird, this is online and it's makeup, what's going to happen here? What were you expecting?
Well, I was nervous because I was like, well, how are they going to show me how to do makeup on myself personally? Because I'm used to hands-on learning, someone personally looking at my face and saying, oh, okay, you need to do it this way or that way, like a certain way based on my appearance. But when I went to the workshop, it was geared to every person. It wasn't specifically for one kind of woman. They gave us tips in general on how to do your eyebrows, how to highlight your cheekbones or not highlight certain areas. So it was useful because everyone was included in it, and you weren't and I got tips for stuff I didn't even know about, like how to measure where to start your eyebrows, and using your own utensil, your fingers or whatever, to measure where to start. You're doing your blush, and it was stuff that I could use after. It was not like, okay, you're sick and this is what you need to do. It was stuff that anyone could do. And my mom sat on the workshop with me, so she also was able to use the tips because it wasn't geared to being sick. It was just general makeup tips. And then the workshop also taught me things that I didn't think of, like how to check expiry dates on makeup, to use only disposable things while, especially while you're receiving treatment, because you're prone to infections, like especially with mascara, your eyes are very vulnerable. And so it was really good because those are things I use today still.
Now, you ended up coming back a couple weeks ago for another workshop,
Yes,
which
I
we're
did.
thrilled. And women are welcome to come back. What made you want to come back, and what was that like?
Well, when I first took it, I was in a different mindset. I was still shocked from like receiving my diagnosis and just getting it. And because of COVID, I never really used the tips for makeup because I was mostly at home. So then recently, I just started back to work at the middle of April. And I wanted to refresh myself on how to do makeup because I'm still not confident. My hair is still growing back. So, and I was going to start work. So I wanted to just have some basic tips again before I go out into the world. So I just wanted to refresh myself and feel more confident about going back and seeing people again.
Oh, thank you. Now, when you were diagnosed back in January and all of this, you had other plans. What were some of your plans that you had coming?
I was going to be getting married in August. So when I was first diagnosed, one of my things was, will I be ready for my wedding? And the doctor's like, no, because chemo is going to take right into, like, your treatment with chemo and radiation is going to take you right into your wedding. So we don't think we can do it. Even if we try a faster way of doing it, you will still not be able to. And so that was really upsetting for me. And I'm like, even if I do get better, I will still not have hair and I won't look as healthy. But then COVID happened. And so everything got shut down and locked down. And we were like, oh, now what are we going to do? But my fiance is like, we've been waiting for this date forever. So let's just do a wedding. So it was just me and my parents, my fiance, my brother, his wife, and my niece. And she was like a few months old. She was born like a few days before the lockdown. So it was just us. It was really small, intimate. I was able to use the tips I learned for my makeup from the Look Good, Feel Better workshop. And, I had eyebrows and eyelashes at my wedding. So it was really good.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. And I know we need to wrap, but if you're, there's a few folks on the line here who didn't know about the workshop. Now they know a little bit more. And they're, those amazing nurses and healthcare professionals you met. What would you say to them if they're thinking about, oh, should I talk about Look Good, Feel Better with my patients?
Definitely, because I think that, like, even if we don't use the tips, just having them gives us confidence, and you see other women going through it. Like, we're not in person, but I saw there were bald women, there were women with hair, women just all kinds, like, some were just all kinds of cancer patients there. And I didn't feel alone. And I was like, I had these tips in my back pocket, which I think helped me to fight, because it's like, if I wanted to put makeup, I put on makeup. If I didn't want to, I didn't. And it helped having to know that, hey, I could go back to this workshop if I wanted to. My nurses were really good with like encouraging me or just talking about my symptoms. And my family was really supportive. Like, I shaved my hair and then my whole family shaved their hair, my parents and my fiance. So, and they would tell me like, hey, you don't have to wear makeup. You still look pretty. You don't have to wear a scarf. I didn't wear a scarf or a wig for my wedding. They're like, you don't need it. Just be you. So I just had the confidence.
Thank you, Andrea, so much for joining us and sharing your story. And we just appreciate so much every time you come and talk. Thank you. Olivia, if we could get the PowerPoint back up. Thank you, Andrea. All right, next slide. I think is blank. And one more. There, we wanted to put that up so you would all see that. That is Andrea on her wedding day, socially distanced and safe. And Andrea, that is, I think, one of our, we all love this photo so much. Look at your smile. Look how happy everybody is. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for sharing that photo and letting us all, I think, you know, we all see everybody for just a moment in time. And when you see this kind of full scope of what's happening in a person's life while they're going through treatment, I think those smiles in that photo just says everything. So thank you so much, Andrea. We are going to wrap up because I know it's 8 o'clock. Give me 3 more minutes, I promise. I'm so sorry. So thank you everyone for joining. We just wanted to share, so we asked women how they found out about the workshop, and 60% of our participants, those workshop, heard about the workshop from their oncology team, whether it's the nurse, their nurse practitioner, their social worker, their patient navigator. It's someone on that team who's told them about the workshop. And there's 20 workshops a month on average. So there's lots of different times. We've got different time zones to make up for the different time zones across the country. Our plan, of course, is to open up in person when we're able to, but we will still continue to have the online workshops even after we're able to reopen in person, because we know we're reaching areas that have been underserved. We're able to reach people who couldn't come in because of parking costs or childcare or all of those other barriers. So we'll be able to offer both. But you really are our first line in referring and letting women know about the workshop. So if we can get to the next slide. I think, we're going to do, you know what? We're going to move on. I want to be respectful of time. So that next slide, we'll skip that poll. So just so you know, we've got a ton of resources. So we have brochures that you can put in your information kits, in your resource centers, in your waiting room, if you're allowed to have them. We've got posters that are both plain or laminated. We have digital ads if you've got screens at your hospital. We've got buttons, we've got little referral cards, and things like this presentation. We are always happy to hop on a Zoom call these days and talk a bit about the program to your team. If you want to get a team together at your site, we're always happy to do a mini version. And that's just some of the images of some of our resources. They're available on our website to download, but we're also happy to pop them in the mail and send them out to you. So please let us know what it is that you need. And Suzanne, thank you. She's just popped the link in there. And if I can get to the last slide, which is a thank you, of course, to all of our, we're going to do the winners first. Thank you. I'm so glad I have a presentation. So we have 3 gorgeous La Roche-Posay gift baskets. It is phenomenal, beautiful product. So thank you for sponsoring to La Roche. And our 3 winners, Lauren Bates in Ontario, Margarita Baikova in Saskatoon, and Lex Shahriandi, I hope I pronounced that correctly, in Halifax. So congratulations to our 3 winners. We will reach out to you to get all the details, to get those baskets shipped out to you. So thank you to La Roche for the prizes, and thank you so much to everybody joining. Yes, Margarita, you're welcome. Everybody needs a little treat, so it's nice to get a little something, especially these days. So just the next slide, I just wanted to thank our speakers again, Robin, Carrie, Rachel, and Andrea. Just remind you to please visit our website for resources. It is so easy for your patients to register. It's a very simple online registration form. We also have a 1-800 line. So I know sometimes women are just done with being online. They're done with trying to figure something out. And so your patients can call our 1-800 line, and we're happy to help that registration. We also have someone on tech support during the workshop, so we can help them get online if they're feeling a little uncomfortable with using the technology. An email will come out to you with a link to a survey. I hope you do take a minute to fill that out. And again, thank you to La Roche and the Globe and Mail for sponsoring this evening. And thank you to all of you. Happy Nursing Week, and to the nurses on the line, but of course to all of the staff that help make our healthcare system move forward. So thank you for taking the time this evening. We really appreciate it. And stay safe and stay well, and good night.